This question comes to us from M, and M writes, says, Dear WeTV, I recently found out that my friend struggles with self-harm. How do we as Christians respond to this? Thank you, M. M, first and foremost, it is very good that you are a friend to this friend who is doing this self-harm to them. It's good that you're in a position to care for them and are concerned for them. Now, we want to establish a couple things, and first is this, is that when it comes to life, life is a gift. We are knit together in our mother's womb, and the Lord sustains us all the way through life, and the Lord is ultimately the giver of life. All that we have in this life is complete gift. And so since the Lord God is the author and sustainer of life, He is the one who has the right to take life. And this really goes the way of the Fifth Commandment. The Fifth Commandment instructs us not to murder our neighbor, that is, not to inflict harm on them or inflict harm on ourselves. Again, because life is a gift, and we are not takers of life. We do not have that authority. Now, in regard to your specific example of your friend and their self-harm, you haven't actually specified what kind of harm they're doing to themselves. So I'm going to assume that it might be some sort of cutting, maybe something like that. We want to keep in mind that when it comes to cutting, it's done for various reasons. Sometimes it's done for attention. Sometimes it's done because it's a visible representation of a deep inner strife. It's really a picture of how they feel inwardly speaking. Other times, cutting is performed and done because the pain of cutting helps as a distraction from another deep emotional pain. It really gets their attention away from that. And fourthly, but not least, another reason for cutting is because there might be a deep embedded self-hatred of themselves. And this is really tied up when the evil one gets a hold of us and he convinces us that we have no worth and no value to anyone and even God. So we punish ourselves in this rage. So with all that said, when it comes to self-harm, it is definitely something to be aware of. It's something that we draw close to our friends on and be there for them. Now, real quickly, when it comes to your friend, if they are a minor, I believe in this case, if they're a minor, their parents actually need to be notified as their guardians and authority over top of them. So how you go about doing that, to be very, very careful as you talk to your friend's parents. Now, if they are not a minor, you as a friend need to be there. And there's a couple things you want to look out for, especially if the self-harm leads to something such as suicide. You want to always make sure that your friend, ask them point blankly if they have actually thought about suicide, and then ask them if they have, do they have a plan? And if they have a plan, have they actually acquired the means to carry that out? If they've done those three things, then I would have to say you would need to instruct the authorities to come take care of them, to prevent themselves from doing something very foolish to themselves. If they haven't thought about suicide, they haven't actually had a plan or the means to carry it out, but it's this constant struggle with cutting themselves or it's a self-harm, and they're not a minor, then I would say that you need to be there for them in prayer and support, and also always be encouraging them to go get professional help from a pastor or a Christian counselor, to be there to work and get to the bottom of the cutting issue. So I hope that helps, and we'll catch you next time.